A very good afternoon to everybody. I won't be wrong in assuming that yesterday, like every other day, we all have gone online at least once. And that just projects the extent up to which internet has become an integral part of our lives. As this cartoon clearly depicts the deplorable state of an internet addict who is saying, "I'm going to Internet's Anonymous and we meet in Yahoo chat rooms." Also, Darwin would have been shocked to see that evolution has gone back to the point from where it started, thanks to the advent of internet. And that is why I am presenting my paper on internet addiction and its correlates in high school students and exploratory study. I would like to introduce you to the term internet addiction. An individual is said to be addicted to the internet when his psychological state, as well as the scholastic, occupational and social interactions get impaired by the overuse of internet, as told by Beard in 2001. Synonyms used for internet addicts are internet dependence, problematic internet users, and pathological internet users. Reason for choosing internet addiction as my topic was that there is a lot of psychological literature that is linking the psychological variables like anxiety and stress, loneliness, depression, sensation seeking to internet addiction. Still, there is a dearth of systematic studies, especially in India, exploring this liaison. Reason for choosing school students as my study subject was, most of the studies in the West have been carried out in university students or in the common population, despite the fact that this is a very vulnerable population. As they are constantly seeking companionship, they are asserting their independence for the first time in their life, they are quite trained to use internet, and to escape stress, they may resort to net. Aim of my study was to study internet addiction in class 11th and 12th standard students, and to find the association of internet addiction with three things. First being socio-education characteristics of age, sex, and self-rated academic performance. Second being internet usage patterns like hours spent online per day, internet exposure in months, and the type of activity. Third being the psychological variables of depression, anxiety, and stress. Methodology employed was, after taking Institutional Review Board approval, 17 English medium schools of the city were approached, of which 6 consented. Informed consent of the principals and the parents were taken. Then in the time allotted by the principals, students were approached in their classrooms. 621 students were explained all the 3 performers and they were given 20 to 30 minutes to complete them. Their assent was taken and their participation was voluntary. Anonymity and confidentiality was strictly maintained. 90% students completed all the forms and their forms were analyzed. This is my data collection sheet. The first part pertained to the socio-education characteristics of age, sex and school performance. Second one was the internet usage patterns of hours spent online per day, internet exposure and the type of activity. Second one pertained to the internet addiction test, and the third had depression, anxiety and stress scale. Now I would like to introduce you to the internet addiction test. This was given by Kimberly Young in 1996. This is a 20-item questionnaire in which items are rated on a Likert type scale from 0 to 5. It has questions pertaining to the degree up to which the daily routine activities, social life or the sleep gets affected by the overuse of internet. This is the IIT. A score of greater than equal to 50 was taken as having internet addiction in my study. For depression, anxiety and stress scale, it has got 3 subscales for depression, anxiety and stress. These were the cutoffs employed. For statistical analysis, bivariate analysis was done using Mann-Whitney test and chi-square test. All the variables found significant in bivariate analysis were then run in the logistic regression model with internet addiction as a dependent variable. Proceeding to the results and discussions. For prevalence, 11.8% of the students in my study were found to be addicted to the internet. In the only Indian study done till now, in the school children of the age group of 16 to 18 years, this prevalence was found to be 18%. In West, a myriad range of prevalence has been found. The reason could be conceptual difficulties inherent to this issue, heterogeneity of the population studied, and the lack of standard diagnostic criteria. Now coming to internet addiction and the socio-education variables, of those addicted, 72% were males, 59% were of the age group of 15 to 16, 60% studied in 11th standard, 65% reported their self-assessed academic performance to be average to poor. Interpreting these results, the age group of 15 to 16 and the male gender, but not the standard or the academic performance, were found to be significantly associated to internet addiction. However, none could predict internet addiction in the logistic regression model. Coming to each variable independently, as far as age is concerned, a study in ZEC youth in the age group of 12 to 26 years found no relationship between age and internet addiction. An online questionnaire-based study found that younger population is more prone to show the addictive symptoms. In my study, a very small age variance was there of 15 to 18 years. That could be the reason that this was not found to be significant. For academic performance, Biratkar and Gunn have found that grade point average decreased as internet addiction in students increased. However, no objective assessment of academic performance was done in my study. For gender, many studies have found that male gender is more predisposed to internet addiction. The reason could be the different type of net usage by both the genders. as males are more prone to use net for cybersex, gambling, gaming that is already shown to be strongly associated with internet addiction. In my study, 97% of the students were availing net via home. That could have been the reason that the gender gap has been warded off. Also, cultural constraints would have led to the underreporting of cybersex. This is the table that summarizes that male gender as well as the age group of 15 to 16 was strongly associated with internet addiction. Coming to internet addiction and the internet usage patterns, mean hours spent online was found to be 2.5 hours amongst addicts, and mean internet exposure was around 4 years in those addicted. As can be clearly seen, social networking topped the charts with 79% of the students reporting this as their prominent activity, followed by 56% who reported chatting, 40% reported gaming, 35% reported information searching, 20% each for web surfing and online shopping, 12% reported cyber relationships, 6% reported online gambling, and a meager 1.5% reported cybersex. Interpreting these results, a strong association exists for hours spent online per day, internet exposure, and the type of activity of social networking, chatting, online shopping, cyber relationships, and online gambling with internet addiction. However, only hours spent online per day and the activity of social networking and chat rooms were strong predictors for internet addiction. Now, time spent online per day is itself a measure in IIT. As the first question measures, how often do you find that you stay online longer than you intended? That could have been the reason that this variable has been found significant in almost all the studies. As far as social networking and chatting is concerned, Cuss and Griffith have proposed that there is a need for socialization in every individual that manifests as a need to enhance established social circles in extroverts and a need to compensate socially in introverts. Also, loneliness, social anxiety and shyness may drive an individual to internet addiction because of the garb of anonymity and the ease of approach. Cybersex, gambling and shopping were not found to be significant, probably because my population was under parental control and financial constraints. This is the table that summarizes the same. Coming to internet addiction and the psychological variables. Now this is not much clear that internet addiction is leading to psychological disorders because of social withdrawal, lack of meaningful relationships, or the psychological disorders are driving an individual to the internet because of the need for approval and less fear of rejection over there. Interpreting these results, significant association was there between internet addiction and depression, anxiety and stress. All the three psychological variables strongly predicted internet addiction. All the three psychological variables were highly correlated amongst each other. This is the table that summarizes the same. For the logistic regression analysis, internet activity of hours spent online per day, the activity of chatting, social networking, and the psychological variables of depression, anxiety and stress were strong predictors for internet addiction. To summarize, 11.8% students were found to be addicted to the internet, of which 73% were males, 59% were of the age group of 15 to 16 years. Mean hours spent online amongst addicts was found to be 2.5 hours. Mean exposure was around 4 years. Social networking topped the charts with 79% students reporting this as their prominent activity, followed by chatting. Socio-educational characteristics of age, sex, standard and self-rated academic performance could not predict internet addiction. Hours spent online per day and the activity of social networking and chat rooms was found to be strong predictors of internet addiction. Also, psychological variables of depression, anxiety and stress clearly predicted internet addiction and they were highly correlated amongst each other. Now, my results have to be interpreted with certain limitations. First of all, a prospective study would have been better to establish the causal relationship between internet addiction and the psychological disorders. A face-to-face interview would have been better to establish the phenomenology of this entity. As convenient sampling was employed in my study, extrapolation of the results to the community would be a little difficult. Only English medium schools were approached in my study. My study has got certain clinical implications. More robust studies need to be done for internet addiction in school students. More clear criteria need to be defined at the international level, especially in DSM-5 for internet addiction. Also, students who are suffering from depression, anxiety or stress, they need to be screened for internet addiction and vice versa. More awareness needs to be spread among students, parents, teachers, and a strong license with the clinical psychologist at school level needs to be established to screen those cases. Thank you. My sincere thanks to all my mentors. And before you fire me with your questions, I would like to leave you with one. You have been online for over an year now. Do you wish to log off and get a life?